Hi, my name is Christine Smith. I'm happy to be joining CGA virtually today to talk about a social media strategy. I'll start by talking a little bit about me. This is me with Buttons. She was my first foster through CGA. I had her a few months ago. She stayed with me for about 3 weeks before she landed in her forever home. After that, I rescued my own greyhound named Allie. I've had her for about a month now, and I've become very passionate about putting greyhounds in forever homes. So I hope that you recognize my passion, but also realize that I have the experience to back that up. I've been working in marketing for over 20 years, and I currently work at Quinnipiac University, where I help support the social media content for our channels. I have three social media objectives that I'm recommending. The first is to boost brand awareness. Our goal will be to primarily do that within Connecticut, but we want to really focus not only on raising the awareness of Greyhound adoption to Greyhound enthusiasts, but also reaching people that are looking to adopt dogs that might not have thought of Greyhounds before now. The second is to increase engagement. Currently, there is not a whole lot of engagement on CGA's channels, so I think there's a few easy things that we can do to really improve that. And these two things really lead to the third goal, which is lead generation. So at the end of the day, it's great that users are finding you on social media, but we want them to adopt, foster, or donate. So we need to move them off those social media platforms and get them to the website to make those three things happen. Before writing this plan, I did a social media audit of your group as well as other Greyhound groups in the area. And what I found that's specifically not working with your group is first the branding. Your logo is really difficult to read and dated. So on the right here where it's larger, you can sort of read Connecticut Greyhound adoption, but on the left where you see it as a profile image in mobile view, you really can't read it at all, and it gets even worse on Facebook, especially again on mobile. So we need to do something to improve that. The second is that there's not much variety in the content that you're posting, and the content is really identical across Facebook and Instagram today, which it really shouldn't be because you have different audiences on those platforms. The third is the follower counts. They're really low. You have, as you can see here, just under 500 followers on Instagram, and you have about 1,400 likes on Facebook. So compared to other groups, that's substantially lower than what they're seeing. And your engagement rate is much lower than your competitors. So people are not commenting on your posts, they're not sharing them, they're not liking them as much as they should be. The good news is there are some things that are working. The first is that Facebook has listed you as very responsive to messages on that platform. I mean, that's huge. People want immediate responses on social media, so keep doing what you're doing there. The second is that you are posting content several times a week. That's really important because you will stay on people's minds if you keep putting things there for them to keep coming back to. I want to talk first about a strategy to boost brand awareness. But before we do that, I think I need to reiterate the importance of good branding. And so I'll start with this quote from Lucid Press. Brands that are consistently presented are 3 to 4 times more likely to experience brand visibility. And at the end of the day, that's what CGA wants. You need to create a brand, and that's your foundation for creating brand awareness. The second is we need to reach beyond the Greyhound community, which we spoke a little bit about in the last slide. And we'll do that through the use of hashtags, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. The second strategy is to increase engagement. So like branding, you also need to develop social media guidelines to ensure tone of voice consistency. So right now, would guess that multiple volunteers are contributing to your social media, because if you go through and read all the posts, they don't sound like they're coming from the same person. And that's not really a good thing with brand loyalty. You need to make it feel like you are always being the same, whether it's through personality or the words you use, needs to be consistent. The second is we need to have a strategic content calendar that includes different type of content. So today you post mostly photos. You have a graphic here and there, but it's typically just photos of dogs. I'm proposing that you add stories and reels and videos and graphic callouts to really improve the types of content and the variety on your site. I'm proposing that we work with micro influencers and also using some paid media. The third strategy of lead generation, I want to implement a paid advertising campaign that can direct users to your adoption page. Look at this example here of Sunny. I mean, if you can get off the social platform to her profile page, who wouldn't want to click that apply to adopt button underneath? That is the path we need people to go. Or we need to get them to the foster application stage, which should also be very easy and seamless through this paid ad campaign. So before we talk goals, I want to reiterate a conversation we had before this meeting. I know that you're working with an agency who's done some pro bono work on your brand guidelines, and they will be finalizing that and launching your new website by the end of May, which is perfect timing because everything I'm proposing would start on June 1 and would run as a 3-month test through the end of August. So goal 1. By July 31st, increase reach on Facebook and Instagram by 25% by implementing hashtags on all posts. It seems very easy, and here's how we'll do it. So first, we're going to implement the use of hashtags, which you're not using at all today. So really low-hanging fruit to get your posts in front of more people. We're also going to test out hashtags that are not necessarily related specifically to greyhounds. So in this example here you see at the bottom, the top greyhound rescue hashtag has 416,000 posts on Instagram. But compare that to Adopt Don't Shop with 51 million posts and you'll start to see why we need to bridge out beyond greyhounds. And how to measure success, we're going to use Facebook to analyze our impressions, our reach, and our engagement. We'll monitor the number of followers through a simple spreadsheet format. We'll do it weekly. We'll note the followers at the start of the test, and every Friday we'll calculate, or we'll just add in to that spreadsheet how the followers have changed, whether they're up or down, and later we'll be able to attribute that back to the type of content that would have been posted throughout those weeks or through seasonality changes, those types of things. And ROI will require tracking volunteer hours spent. So this whole plan requires a lot of use of volunteers. So how many hours are they spending and how much of an increase in reach did we have? And that will help determine if it's worth asking those volunteers to continue to help us. So here's a possible organic post. So in this case, we are not doing a greyhound event. We are doing an event called Paws in the Park. So this is the logo here is what would be the visual. So something that's going to stand out. It's different. If someone's scrolling through your Instagram, they're going to be like, what is this? And you'll see the text here on the right that talks about the event. It's free. Dogs are welcome, kids are welcome, there's bounce houses and vendors and food trucks. Oh, and guess what? There's adoptable greyhounds because CGA will be there with some dogs and a table set up to get information. So the important part to take away here are the hashtags listed at the bottom in blue. We are doing the traditional greyhound ones, but we're also adding in a kid-friendly hashtag and the event hashtag to continue to really try to push who is going to be seeing our post, just letting people know we will be there. The next goal, By August 31st, so again, that's the end of our test period, we'll increase engagement rates by 10% through the execution of various types of engaging content. It sounds a little generic, so let's talk about what we'll do. We're going to create new types of content, as we talked about. We're going to post 5 times a week, and we're going to vary that content on Facebook. So it's going to be different on Facebook than it is going to be on Instagram. And we're going to utilize boosted video ads from micro influencers. And that is going to either directly support fundraising efforts or also adoption efforts. And to measure success, we're going to just simply use a Word document and keep track of the successful posts. That will help us guide future content. We're going to use a simple formula to track engagement rates. Again, using a spreadsheet, we'll do this on a post by post basis so we can really understand which ones did well and which ones didn't. And then we're going to calculate ROI of boosted posts using a simple formula to see if it's worth it. So here's an example of something that might work as a boosted ad to promote Greyhound adoption. We would find a micro influencer that would be willing to help us. Our current volunteer network is pretty wide, and I'm sure that we have a lot of people that fall within this 1,000 to 100,000 follower mark. We're going to have them create a clever video. So I'm just going to go through how this example worked here. This, I'm assuming he was a teenager, was in a shelter and he had made frozen cookies for the dogs. So he went through several dogs and gave each one cookie. So you can see the personality of that dog and how they took the cookie, how they wagged their tail, how gentle they were, that type of thing. And underneath the video, there was copy that had the name of each dog in the order the dog appeared. So that simplified things in the way that you didn't need captioning on the video itself. And then I've swapped out Connecticut Greyhound Association for the shelter's name he was working in, but it had a link to the shelter's page for people that were interested in adopting. And this post had over 20,000 likes, and it also had over 400 comments. And I would almost guarantee that at least one of these dogs got adopted because of that video that was just made on someone's phone. Simple and easy, but yet effective. So the budget for this, we would spend $100 a month to boost an ad. And it's not a lot of money, but we'll see how it does on Facebook, and again, through tracking and analytics, we'll decide if it's worth it. The next goal by the end of August is to place 10 greyhounds in their forever homes and find 20 new foster families by running paid ads. So we're going to use a combination actually of paid ads and organic content. We're going to add a link tree to Instagram so that if you're posting a picture of a dog that's available to foster or to adopt, you can be transferred directly to that dog's profile page on CGA's website. And so the paid part of this ad would be to have a call to action for someone to submit their email for more info on fostering. And we'll talk about that on the next page. To track success, we will document the numbers of adoptions and foster applications and be able to compare that to existing records. We can also track the number of clicks on the link tree. And we can finally track the number of people who submitted their email for more information on fostering or those that went on to donate or adopt. So here's an example of a possible paid ad on Facebook that's with the goal of getting leads. So on the left is how the ad would appear in your Facebook scrolling. Really interesting photo with a good headline. And then when they click on the learn more call to action, it opens a second piece that just gives you a little blurb about information, and all we want is your email, because once we have your email, we can give them future marketing emails. As long as we don't spam them or annoy them, that could lead to a number of good results for CGA. And we'd spend $200 a month on this initiative. So budgeting is of course of concern. So for this 3-month test, most of what we're getting is free, including the Linktree. It's normally a charge service, but for charitable organizations, there is no cost. So that's great for us. So I am recommending spending $300 total a month or $900 total over the 3-month test. The team, again, all volunteers, so the president will oversee all of the marketing activities. We will have a marketing director and a creative director that has to do the heaviest lift. I am volunteering today to be the creative director, and I know we have someone interested in being the marketing director. And then we will appoint one social media manager, and then community managers for each platform. And I think we have volunteers that are already doing that and are interested in continuing with a more formalized approach. My final thought is a few things. Even if you don't go with my plan, I would suggest that you're very strategic about the days you're posting and the times you're posting and who you're trying to reach, making sure that what you post on Instagram looks different and sounds different from what you're posting on Facebook. When you're posting on Facebook, make sure to utilize Facebook events so that people can RSVP and save that event so they're reminded of it. Make sure to use hashtags. When you're on Instagram, please, it's free. Get that link tree and really start directing people to your webpage. So I want to thank you for your time, and at this time I will open it up to questions.